have two people to come ahead and speak to us. So it's going to be a big opportunity. Don't miss out. We have people tell us right here, and our associates right here, so I guess as well. We have Vicky, Emmanuel, and Walter right here. So feel free to reach out to any one of us. But thank you guys for coming out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the lecture.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everybody. What a nice crowd. Thank you very much for joining us. It's nice to see some former students and professor over there. Mr. Kalbach has known him for a long time. It's really nice to see everybody here. And as Sarah said, our final lecture is going to be Mass Design Group. We first heard of them a good while back, and they've been doing work in Africa and I think Tennessee. Now they're doing community buildings in Montana, and they have their office in Santa Fe. And we have two professionals from their office from Santa Fe that will be here. The student tickets are, as Sarah said, $25 if you want the dinner and the lecture. But we do want to encourage you to go to the lecture, so we're asking for a $5 donation so that we can break even and pay everybody off. All right. I'm really excited about today's lecture. Our guest was one of my students. It's been a while. I don't even want to know what year it was, but it has been a while. He was one of the first students that went through the program when we first set everything up. He comes from LA. Yeah, so he comes from LA. He started at the El Paso Community College, went to Texas Tech, graduated from there, worked for a while, and then jumped in on online graduate programs. So if you want to learn a little bit about that, he can tell you with Lawrence Tech. And he's always kept in touch with me, so it's not like I've lost touch with him. He's always been in contact with me, telling me what he's been doing. As a matter of fact, we both studied for some of the exams when he was in Las Cruces, working in Las Cruces for WDG, which no longer exists. Well, we won't say why. But so we studied for the first three portions of the exam before the transition, and then he's now working with Cesar Molina for 90 degrees architects, which is he'll tell you all about that. And then you all know I went to San Francisco, and on my way back from San Francisco, I received a text. I received a text saying, I'm done with my AREs. So he's done with all his architectural registration exams. And I said, that's wonderful. And instead I'm going, because I still need that one exam that he passed. But I am very proud of him, I really am. The shish kebabs are like, what, get on the ball. So it gives me great pleasure to be able to introduce architect Michael Bluth.
Everybody can hear me okay? Well, that was a great introduction. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Kind of get into some of those points as I go through my lecture, but I kind of just wanted to maybe share an inspirational story to everybody. I know that everybody has different backgrounds, different things that they've been through, and I haven't had quite an easy road, so kind of wanted to share that with y'all. And then as we get to that point, I'll share a little bit about what we do at 90 Degrees and some of our active projects that we have. So without further ado, initially, I'm going to talk about becoming an architect. I know that you guys are at, most of you are early in your venture, kind of at the beginning, some of you are at the middle of the road. But I kind of wanted to talk about what it takes to become an architect, and a little bit about when I discovered that. So first and foremost, I'm not, Master Group, I'm not, some famous architect, but who am I? Prior to architecture school, I had 8 years of construction experience. 2008, you see that date, that's, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, but that was the year of the recession. So the construction company I worked for, my dad's company, kind of, we just lost all of our work and there was no more work and, kind of tried to figure out what to do. So the short story is 2013, I came to EPCC, well, graduated in 2013. Graduated from Texas Tech with honors in 2015, and then 2018 graduated with honors at Lawrence Tech. And then in professional practice, as mentioned, I worked for WET Architects. I was initially brought in to be the BIM manager to transition an AutoCAD firm into Revit. Started that, and within 90 days, I was managing projects myself. So that was right out of undergrad, so that was pretty fast paced. I was there for 4 years, and then in 2018 I joined promoting at 9 Degrees, and I've been there ever since. And I just recently had a title change. I was a senior project manager for 6 years, and now here I am an architect, and I'm also a CESA's associate. And then I want to thank all of you because I was asked to do this lecture, and I wanted to be somebody that was meaningful to talk to you all, and so that kind of pushed me to take my last couple exams and get them out of the way. So I actually just passed my last exam on March 9th. So, I want to keep pointing now. So what does it take to become a licensed registered architect? I don't know how much you all know and what year you're in or how far you've gotten into that at this point. But just, some of you need to recap. You do need to graduate from an accredited professional architecture program, which is a Master of Architecture in most cases. Survive your architecture experience program, EXP, as defined by NCARB. Study for and pass the ARE, 6 divisions, and then your initial license will be issued from the state or jurisdiction that you're applying. Now, when I first heard about all of this, I was here at UCC and I'm thinking, what? I gotta do all that? At the time, as mentioned, this program was very early. We were over there in a little shop, and then I actually had 2 studio courses in a little affordable trailer. So it wasn't really the best accommodations, but at that point, there was no, I don't want to say no, there was the undergrad program at Texas Tech, but it was so small. I think there were 7 students at the time, right? There were about 7 students, and so it was very small, and then there was no path for a master's. And I'm a family man. I'm not a young kid that can just take off and go to MIT or somewhere, be thankful that you did, those of you that do have that opportunity, but I didn't have that. So I thought a lot about it, and I almost changed my major. I almost said, that's too much. I'm not gonna get to my bachelor's and then not be able to do anything with my career. So I was really close to just saying that. But I did make it through. And so just kind of wanted to show you guys the graphics of what this kind of looks like, right? So this is actually my AXP hours, which you can log into your NCARB report. And if any of you are working at a firm yet, take advantage of your mentors, take advantage of any hours that you can get. You can see right here, it's 3,981 approved, which that was my requirement for Texas. So these are actually my hours that I logged. And then you'll see that the exams now are formatted in 6 divisions, right? So those divisions are based on the experience that you're going to be getting in your AXP. So it's kind of formatted a little different than it used to be, but I think it's pretty beneficial, just the way that it is. So you'll see those 6 divisions, and then this is the money shot, right? When you finally pass all your exams, you have your pass dates. So this is another screenshot from the NCARB reports that show when I took my exams, when I passed them. I did have one failure. I took the hardest one first, and it didn't work out so well. Arguably the hardest one everybody knows of as is PDD, Project Development Documentation. And so that was the first one I ever took, and come to find out later on, I think I missed it by 4 points. So the second time around, so I went around the loop. I went into construction evaluation, practice management, project management, program analysis, PPD, and then I went back to the first one that I took. So in my studies, I'm just thinking in my head, okay, well, all I need to do is get 4 more points than I got last time. And then once you do that, then you're welcome to the promised land, right? You get what you've been working so hard for. So again, this is my skill. I got it on Tuesday, so still showing it off. Okay, so I just really wanted to talk real briefly about my road and overcoming challenges. Okay, like I said, everybody comes from somewhere else, right? Everybody has a different background, different things that they've been through. My boys are here, my wife's here, my little girls are over there. We had a rough road. I mean, I became a father at 18 years old with my oldest son right there. A year later, I had his brother, 19 years old. So I had responsibility right away. I didn't have, a teen, early young adulthood. I didn't have any of that life. I worked in construction, but like I said, in 2008, I lost everything. I had no more work. Everything just kind of went to crap. I ended up, before coming to El Paso, I was literally homeless, living on the streets for a year. My mom was thankful enough to take in my boys for me, and I actually lived on the streets for an entire year before coming to El Paso. So when I finally got here, I had nothing. Single father of 2 at the time. Nothing, no support. I was 29 years old, so I'm thinking, okay, well, I have to do something with my life. I have to change it. I have to do something and create a life for these guys. I found the architecture program here at UPCC. Hadn't heard much about it, but did a Google search, and I mean, it just worked out, right? So that was done in the fall of 2009, and I began classes in spring of 2010. Again, no excuses. I had no excuses. I was gonna make it. I wasn't. No financial support from my parents. I'm a grown-ass man. I had to realize that. I had to, pick myself up. Again, coming here with nothing in my wallet, nothing, no savings, no nothing. I had to work to support my boys, which are in school. I was a full-time student, full-time parent, part-time employee. I actually worked here on campus. Initially as a work study, and then still try to find time to spend with them, to study, to make models, to design presentations and posters and all the stuff that this demanding career, requires of us. So I work for the Center for Students with Disabilities as a note taker. I don't know if anybody's ventured into work study and all that kind of stuff, and that was fun. I got to take free classes, and you learn stuff that you would never learn before. They hired me at the Instructional Service Center right over here, making copies. Everybody prints out their little pamphlets. I worked in there, literally making $300 a month. That was my income. After a while, they ended up hiring me as a part-time classified staff, and all through Texas Tech undergrad, I worked here part-time, and then I was a student mentor. So after my studies at Tech and after my wonderful studios with Mr. Barajas, I came over here and I sat over here and I helped UPCC students. So again, no excuses, and what it did is it gave me a work ethic like no other. By the time I started my master's program, after I finished at Tech, I knew that I had to go to that next step, and I did find that program, Lawrence Tech College of Architecture. Great program, by the way, I loved it. Loved every second of it, and I think it well prepared me for the industry. But I was already a full-time project manager at WG Architects, so it was no easy feat to get up. I was living here in El Paso, and I was driving to Cruces in the morning. So I would get up at 5 in the morning, I'd drive to Cruces, and then I'd go all day to work. Sometimes, because it's in the East Coast, our studios were scheduled, right? So if the studio's at 7 o'clock p.m. over in Detroit, here it's 5 p.m., right? So I had to leave work early, and then I had to make up the time because I still have to make my 40 hours, I still have to make my project deliverables and all that kind of stuff. So, and then after studio, I would drive home, and then I would work all night and sleep an hour, if maybe 2 hours if I was lucky. So it was hell, but much better than being homeless, I'll tell you that. But again, it taught me a work ethic like no other, and it's reflected in my journey into licensure and in my career. And I know that some of you may not here yet, but I just kind of wanted to touch and share how my mentality reflected into my journey to registration, and kind of tips for taking the exams early on, because you hear a lot of stuff, right? You hear that you got to study this much time, and this resource is the perfect resource, and there's just so many things out there. So I just put a couple of things like study time. The recommendations are to study like 12 plus hours per week, for when you're studying for your exams. Resources, study material, study styles. There's a million different things out there. But just know that there's no right way. Everybody's unique and we all learn differently. What worked for me may not work for you or anybody else. But you have to find what that is. The only advice that I can give is to stick with what works for you. And you'll find that out. Like I mentioned, when I took my first test and I failed it, I knew what I did didn't work. So I had to do something different and figure it out. So again, the advice is to figure out what works best for you and your learning style. For instance, that first, somebody had shared with me some study material, read the books and answer the questions and this, and I did that, but I hate reading. I didn't retain anything from that. So, I give that example because that worked for somebody else, but it didn't work for me. So, another thing is that the tests are not memorization tests, which nobody tells you this stuff, right? So that's kind of what I want to share with you all. Even if there's formulas that you need on the exam, they're going to give them to you right there. You just have to know how to use them. And as you start preparing and doing all that kind of stuff, I urge you to work out formulas and know how to use them, understand them, and understand why they're there, what the factors are in there, what the variables are, and what you're trying to solve. And the study material and the practice exams, although they're extremely helpful, there's nothing out there that's going to give you exactly what's on the test. So it's pointless to take a practice test and think, okay, I'm going to study this practice test because I'm going to have all the answers. And it just doesn't work that way. NCARB is pretty smart in how they develop these tests, because you never know what's on the exams. But the biggest thing to take away from it is that mindset is everything. And I don't know everybody's background, but I know when I came, I had 8 years of construction experience. I've studied with people with a lot of experience in architecture. Sometimes you just have to completely forget about all your experience and learn how to take the test, because that's the only way you can pass it. So enough of that. I just kind of wanted to get into why we sign up for architecture, right? Many great architects have taken the stage before me in this lecture series, including, Daniel Skin, Tom May, Billy Steen, some of my favorites. Antoine Priot, rest in peace. He just passed recently. He's done this lecture series as well. But that's not me. Maybe I'll get there one day, but just kind of wanted to talk about why we pick architecture. Some of us, our parents, our family members were architects, or they studied architecture. We talk about it at dinner. Some of us work in construction, or related industry. Some of you took courses in middle school, drafting course, and say, hey, this is pretty cool. Some just have an appreciation for cool buildings like these ones that I'm showing you here. Others they want to have a respectable professional career, money, status, whatever it may be. For me, my dad was a general contractor. I worked for him, and like I said, everything closed shop in 2008. Of course, he kept on moving, but he had to downsize the operation and all that. So, just being on a job site, picking up scraps and seeing the reaction on any job site when the architect shows up, right? He walks up and he's the chingon, right? Everybody's looking at him and, for answers, and that's what I wanted. It's never been for me about money or status or anything like that. It's always been, I want to be that guy. I don't want to be this guy swimming the blocks, So, each of you needs to figure out what it is for you. as the grueling path ahead will make you question it many times. As you get frustrated, I know studios can be pretty intense. You get late nights and you're trying to figure out how to make things work, and somehow nothing's right with your professor, and like, oh, that doesn't work, oh, that doesn't work, and you're like, what do you mean it's perfect? You gotta find your reasons, right? Because it does take a lot of work. And again, like I told you, I almost quit and changed majors because all of the obstacles, but I had to embrace it, because if you push through and this is what your passion is, it'll be all worth it in the long run. Then I kind of wanted to talk about what architecture is really like. I don't know how much exposure you all have to professional practice, but architecture it's a big, wide range of things, right? There's multiple different project types that we encounter, and I'm listing a couple: new construction, new buildings, additions, renovations, feasibility studies, master plans, tenant improvements, ADA studies, artistic condition surveys, and I highlight these last three because they're bread and butter for architects, but they're not fun. HVAC upgrades, re-roof projects, parking lot design. They're very, very crazy projects. I kind of encountered a lot of them over my career. Just wanted to kind of share that as a part of the industry. Kind of share the things that you need to succeed. And I know I was lucky to have been able to do this lecture, but on Zoom, so probably none of you probably seen it by the time you do. I did want to reiterate some of the points that I talked about in the last lecture, right? So there's three ideals that every emerging professional should take from architecture school at all levels, aside from designability, right? All of us here have designability, we can design some cool stuff, right? But you do need to find your passion for what you do. You do need to have a willingness to work together, and you do need to have a positive attitude. Simple, right? Very, very simple. And then a famous quote, right? If you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And that's kind of, if you're passionate about architecture and you get into architecture and you become an architect, you love it. It's something that you love to do. How do you get there? There are a lot of parts of the machine that we call the architecture profession. You gotta find what you're good at, what makes you stand out. Not everybody here has the same ability. There are certain people that are really, really good with rendering. There are certain people that are really, really good with a specific software. Mine happened to be Revit. I fell in love with Revit after APCC. I studied it in my off time, and by the time I hit professional practice, I was an expert at the software. So I was like, hey man, how do you do this? So that was my niche. You gotta find yours. What setting do you want to work in? We have a historic person who's working in our construction department as well. Happens to have a construction management degree and a historic preservation. You gotta find what you're passionate about. What do you like? Are you okay with presentations? We have somebody that does our presentations. Drafting. I mean, what is it that makes you stand out? Strive to excel what you're good at and be the best you is the biggest advice that I can give you. And then again, the willingness to work together. So I happened to in my master's program, everything that we did was group projects, which is a blessing and a curse, right? You're either the leader of the group, which was me, that'll just take on everything and everybody just squeaks by with their feet up. Or you're just trying to figure out where you fit in, right? But every single project that we did in graduate school was, you win together as a team and you lose as a team together. So, kind of want to put that out there. I know right now, at this level, everybody's pretty much individuals, right? And they're trying to discover who they are, what their abilities are, what their passions are, what kind of projects they're going to end up doing, what kind of things you like, curves. Do you like curvy buildings? Do you like bubbly buildings? Just different types of things that people like, and everybody develops what that is now. But once you get to, like, when you're in a program like what I was in, you have all these clashing personalities, right? And that's the way it is in professional practice, right? You get some hot shot in the corner that thinks they're Mr. Chingona or Miss Chingona, and, they want all this credit, they want this, oh, this is my building, this is not yours. But it's, in reality, architecture is a team sport. Everybody puts, their effort in, and the project either is successful or it fails. And it's evident in its result. And then the positive attitude. So again, I bring up the crazy projects, the fun projects, right? Not all projects are aesthetically pleasing landmark projects like this beautiful building we're standing in right now. I've done projects that are just a storage building, literally one long storage building with doors. And the project was dress it up, make it look nice. How? It's got roll-up doors, it's got stucco, it's got a roof, that's about it, and that's basically what you get. So, you also have HVAC projects, right, where you don't ever see anything. It's an infrastructure project, and you're dismantling the entire campus, and you're changing all of this ductwork, but you're putting it all back to be covered. You never see any of it. Lighting upgrades, taking an old school and putting LED lighting in. You see a little difference after, but I mean, it's not, something that's super, oh, that's my project right there, right? Fire sprinkler retrofits, even studies. Those are, they're tedious. They take a lot of work, but having a positive attitude really helps to embrace every project that way. And I have it highlighted right here to make the most of every design opportunity. There is always a design opportunity. That storage building, it's actually a really nice storage building. It's over on the Anderson campus. Just positive attitude goes a long way. And I know it's easy to get, bogged down in this project sucks, I'm not gonna put all the effort. But what I've learned in project management, every project, the steps are the same. It doesn't matter if it's, just painting the walls in here. You gotta set up the project, right? You gotta set up the drawings, you gotta deal with the client, you gotta select colors, you gotta do all this work. I mean, it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's a small project or a big project. And then, so again, just wanted to, the concept of embracing challenges, I wanted to kind of show some real world examples of what we're working on these days at 9 Degrees. And just kind of their challenges and how we're overcoming them. So this is a complex on Macbeth. It's an idea from a local food bank company in Las Cruces who wants to bring their services into the city of Summit Park. I don't know if anybody knows about Summit Park, but this building over here in the corner, that's what's called the Guitar Building. And it's a landmark. It was a community center that was designed and built in 1980 or whatever it may be, and it's been there ever since. And there's nothing else on the site. But people in Summit Park know, hey, it's right there by the guitar room. And there's literally a big guitar in front of you. So if you're ever driving down Macbeth, you'll see that. And you can see right there the piano keys. So it was painted that way with a concept of music, right? So what we did in developing this new building, this new food bank building, is we removed the guitar, of course, but we kept the concept of music in the undulating music notes and the fenestration on the facade. And then we're actually repurposing that guitar building, which is vacant right now. Okay, so we're developing an entire complex, right? So that one right there, the one horizontal, that's the guitar building and the food bank building, and then there's actually 4 more buildings that are planned for that same site. So it's really nice to be able to have these projects turn in from an idea and then they start snowballing into more. So what you're looking at on the right side is the interior of that guitar building, which right now is just an open space with bright colors, and now it's going to be this nice elegant home for the motor vehicle division for the city of Summit Park and the state of New Mexico. So again, embracing every design opportunity. And then you can see sharing language from the existing building and just bringing some of the colors, textures into the new building as an accent piece. This kind of goes a long way. That's another one of our babies. Casco, they're really one of 2 steel suppliers in town, right? Big ones. So every structural steel project either came from Casco or they came from the other. I think they have steel specialties or whatever. So they had a really nice plant over in downtown, and they decided, well, we're going to relocate way out there by Clinton. So they bought a huge pre-engineered metal building for their shop, which is what you're seeing in the background. And decided, okay, well, we're gonna move our entire operation over there. So they came in and talked to us, and so this is essentially the site plan. That big box, that's their shop, and then they have a shade canopy outside where they do all of their function, steel fabricating, and they're actually doing metal panels for the nube. I mean, they do a lot of really cool stuff. So what we decided to do is say, okay, well, what can we do to show you what you do in your building, right? This is your new home. It's gotta showcase what you do. So the project challenges, they wanted a 2-story office building attached to a newly constructed large premium metal building. They had already predefined the connection point to the existing metal building because it has these clear span structures, right? So they said from this bay to this bay, that's where our addition is gonna be. Okay, sounds good. So what we're looking at is this area here is the addition portion, and it looks puny, right? But this thing is huge. So there were it's in the middle of nowhere. It's off of Ascension and Las Colonias over there, right outside of Sparks. No electrical, gas, water, sewer, no paved streets. There's only one Ascension that comes this way. Is the only paved street, and it's partially paved. So it's literally in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there. They needed 6,000 to 8,000 square feet of office space. We had already helped them when getting the permits and getting going on the big building, so that one's already under construction. And then again, the identity, like what were we gonna do to establish an identity for them? So this is their logo. So we got the idea to utilize that chevron shape and insert it into the floor plan somehow, right? So you can kind of see that transpiring into the floor plan, and then what it did was it gave prime opportunity for views away from the building instead of putting it flat against the building, right? And you're just looking at metal. So now we're actually extending that direction and then that direction. So there's, I kind of just put arrows here showing that the arrows of where the views will be coming from, along with the approach. So when I went over the site plan Ascension, it goes along the front of the metal building. So the side street there, from every corner vantage point, you're kind of like extended out towards the public, right? So essentially, these are the approaches. So you have the approach from Ascension corner, and then you have the approach coming from the other street, which is right now Las Colonias, but they're paving it. So they're doing a lot of the infrastructure to get that going. So it's kind of fun to be able to work on this one. This is another school that we had worked on. I have been working on this literally since 2018. It started with a life cycle upgrades project, literally just changing the evap coolers to swamp coolers to refrigerated air, and then that snowballed into more and more and more, and I'm sure enough, it ended up being what was it, like a $10 million full campus renovation. So the school was built in 1966, so it's literally old technology, transite asbestos panel facade. So what we did is we encapsulated it, and we just gave it a whole new face. The entire school, inside and out, basically. The challenges were, dated in style and layout. The old building technology, the exterior facade was made of asbestos, as I mentioned. The roof deck, which we came to discover upon demolition, there literally was no roof deck. It was all poured plaster, basically, with chicken wire. So all this time we're doing field investigation, we're walking on this roof, I'm like, why does it feel like a trampoline? That was why. And then the main entry, there's a lot of things going on with schools right now, trying to create safer spaces for kids. This particular campus, if you look at the top left photo, that was the main entry, and that's the portal. So if a visitor came to the campus, of course they push the button and then they pop them open, and then they get right into the corridor where the kids are walking. So if there was ever an incident, it would have been more horrific. So we actually created them a whole new secure vestibule. I mean, it was a great project, but we're actually finally done with it. So it took a long time. But this one I kind of wanted to show when you get the rendering and you get the actual portal, and it's exactly like it. So that's a lot of fun. So if you ever pass by us in the lower valley, this looks brand new when you drive by. And then another one that we're working on right now, it's a new client actually. They used to be NMSU, Carlsbad, and they separate themselves. So Carlsbad, New Mexico traditionally has a deep roots in oil and gas, and they had a lot of revenues, and MSU was withholding a lot of those revenues, right? Because that's their cash cow. So they decided, well, not anymore. We're gonna do our own thing. So they did. They severed themselves from the MSU system, and we have a couple of projects with them that are helping them establish their new identity, which is pretty cool. So what we're looking at here, this is an addition to the main building that has no front door. So that's the building right there. The current front door is when you see that little sign, there's a little door right there. When you walk in that door, you're right at the president's office. There's no, I mean, you really don't want to be dumping people right in there, and then there's a security guy at the end. So everybody that accesses the campus, they're just completely lost from the moment they arrive. So what we did is we tried to abstract features from the existing facade because they really like the language that it has, although it's dated, right? It's 1980. So the idea was to create them a new identity, a new entry point, a new front door, so that they don't have that anymore. So the project is still in the works right now, but essentially this is the main entry now. We're actually working on the drawings right now for this. So you come in, you have a main atrium space, and then you have a welcome center on the ground floor. You have a one-stop shop where all your services are. And then on the second floor, you're gonna have the business office and the president's office, and then access to the library. And then this is the crown jewel, I guess. So this is the new building that we're doing for that same institution, who's trying to again establish their own identity, right? So they used to be part of an MSU. They used to have MSU classes, but they had started doing some workforce development programs, right? So again, there's a big link to the oil and gas industry, the potash community, the radiation disposal training. So the Department of Energy has a department that is partnering with this building as well. So this building is essentially going to host their new programs for trades and technologies. So again, this one is again in the design phase. We're actually working on the drawings now, but I can kind of walk you through the floor plan. You see the main street, the bottom one, that's the bottom floor. So it's accessed from either end with an operable wall. And what they wanted was to be able to be flexible, right? So if they want to change the use of any of these shops or any of that, they have the flexibility to. So the walls actually open up and they can drive a lift all the way through from one end to the other and then into the lab spaces. So what we're looking at is 3 lab spaces. We got oil and gas technologies, electrical trades, and then we have industrial maintenance, which are 3 of the prime programs that they're building right now. And then they have simulation labs for oil and gas drilling. And then on the second level, there's PLC instrumentation, and then we have the DOE, the partnership with the Department of Energy, labs, office spaces, testing labs, and as such. So the main challenge on this project was we came up with this great contemporary design that just got trashed. They really handed it to us in the board meeting. It wasn't fun. They wanted the new building to speak to the old building. How do you do that? Like, you don't want to just recreate something old, right? You want to have something contemporary in there. So that was really the challenge, is to find things around campus. Okay, how can we tie something, a feature, something there? And that's how we ended up selling it. Is, we actually put together a presentation with little arrows pointing right at, okay, look, this is where we got the inspiration for this. This is where we got the inspiration for that. And that was a very, very, very well thought out approach, because if they don't know that, they don't know that we're taking inspiration, that the client, essentially, that's their building, right? And that's kind of the mentality we need to have. We're designing the space for them to use. Once we're done, we wash our hands and we go on to the next one. So that's the challenge. But again, this is just some other views of the building. As you approach the campus, this is actually the furthermost portion of the campus, so it's your arrival point, right? This is the first thing you see. This is their new identity, and our new addition you're going to see off in the distance. So idea is to be able to take all of this language that we have established now and put it into that other addition project and give them asking for, their new identity and their new face to the public. So, again, so I'm almost done. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much. I just wanted to give you a quick overview and reiterate kind of some of the things that I was telling you earlier. Finding a passion for what you do, find your niche in the industry, what are your strongest assets, and refine them. Embrace working in a team. You know, architecture is a team sport. The team defines the project success. And most importantly, have a positive attitude. Make the most out of every design opportunity and make no excuses. Embrace up these challenges and overcome. And hopefully I can be a testament to that. And hopefully I was able to inspire somebody today.
Thank you very much for a wonderful and inspirational lecture, Michael. Now we're going to go ahead and open the floor for some questions and answers. Anyone would like to begin?
What do you think the key is I know there's many factors in studying, but I guess the one thing that gets you going?
I guess regarding studying, one of the biggest things that I did was I would take the NCAR practice test, right? And I would take the test as a, just starting from scratch and say, okay, I'm gonna take the test, see where I'm at. And not get stuck on that score, because that's not the test. You have to keep that in mind, that is not the test you're gonna take. And then I would take that test and I would read that over and over. I would read every question, and I would read, if I got it wrong, I would want to understand why I got it wrong. So it's all about learning how to read the questions, really, and finding the context clues in the questions. And the best way that I found to do that is to read them over and over and over. And I did that with every test that I passed, except for the one that
For working teams, when you're talking about working out with you guys have different needs design. How do you deal with that?
Ideally, what would happen, and we had this on multiple projects in professional practice, is, you kind of, the owner is the one who actually is going to have to put the design, right? So it could be my idea, and I think it's the greatest in the world, or it could be yours or hers. Ideally, what we would do is we would put together multiple renditions of the building, capitalizing on each concept, right? And then whichever one the owner likes better, that's the one we go with. There's been plenty of things that I've designed that I thought was really badass, and it never hits the table, so it happens. But again, having a positive attitude, right? Maybe they didn't pick your design. Okay, that's fine. Let's put our effort into making it as good as we can get it.
For your process of design during your whole journey, what was your aha moment? Like this is what I'm passionate about. This is something I'm going to pursue all the way.
That's a tough one. Like design-wise, specifically.
Like more passion-wise, like how you said if you're working or like if you're passionate about your work, you're not going to be working. So for you, what was that moment that you like?
For me, architecture has always been a passion since I first learned what architecture was. I always knew that I didn't want to go and do another program and get another degree in something else, and that's why I shared that I almost gave up, because I wouldn't have been happy. I would not have been happy doing anything other than what I'm doing right now, and this is what I love to do. My staff knows that I'm the last one to leave. Usually the first time I arrive, I stay till the job gets done. I stay to get our deliverables, and they get emails from me at 9:30 at night sometimes, because I get an email, I have to reply and I copy them. That's where that statement comes from, is if you're passionate about it, you're gonna do it, right? You're gonna do what it takes to get it done and do it well. So I guess for me, architecture in general, I love architecture, I love what I do. say this, like it's logical, but like if it was logical, I would do it for free. But I mean, of course, you gotta make a living. But yeah, I mean, and that's why I say find your passion. If your passion is not architecture, find what it is. Find, is it interior design? Is it historic preservation? Is it whatever it may be? There's no wrong answer. Because if you're not doing what you're passionate about, you're not gonna love it. And you have to love it.
Any other questions? Asking some great questions.
Hi, so this is more of a specialized question when it comes towards your team building and when designing infrastructure. So I noticed that a lot of your examples, you use a lot of culturally influenced references, whether that's work culture or the culture surrounding the community. How do you guys tackle that one? Because I know a lot of people might bounce off ideas, but how do you guys settle on those specific motifs that you're playing?
Some of our most successful projects design-wise have been with community input. Okay, so we've done multiple projects that start with a full-on design charrette, where we host an event and we have we play these little games, which is a lot of fun, right? Cut out little pieces, and you get input from kids, you get input from everybody, and those have always been the most successful because they have the backing of the people that are going to use it. And that's kind of why I agree that it's the owner's building, right? We could think it's the best thing in the world and it's not going to work for them. And then what happens? They pay $20 million for a building that they don't like. And nobody's happy in that situation. So, if you get the users input, the people that are going to be using the building,